Hi, my name is Carlos Simon. I am a composer. I am so delighted to be a part of the Ojai Festival this year. When so music really was a part of my life through church. My dad is a preacher. Actually, I come from a long lineage of preachers, four generations to be exact. And so the church is sort of the centerpiece of my life during when I'm as a child. And we every day something where we had to do something in the church. Whether we clean the church, whether it be rehearsal, choir rehearsal, and so gospel music was a huge part of what I was listening to at that point. And understanding, in retrospect, how gospel music fits into the scheme of American music and where it comes from, it really, it does my heart good to know the culture of gospel music and church music in particular. And so, knowing the emotional grab that it has. Have you ever been to an African American church, Pentecostal church to be exact? You know how much music plays a part of emotion and just therapy. I see it as therapy now, but then it was just pure emotion and elation. And music has a large part in that, and so and how a person responds based on what's happening musically speaking.
The storm is passing over. The storm is passing over. The storm is passing over. Hallelujah. The storm is passing over.
Gosh. So when my father started a church in Atlanta in 1996, and before that, we were a part of a church here in DC, and I remember very vividly um, the organist at this church. He was so accomplished. I remember sitting in the musicians pit because my mom sang in the choir and also played trombone, and I would be with her. And I just remember seeing him as maybe like 6 or 7 years old, just seeing him play so skillfully and respond to what was happening in the church, musically speaking. And it just blew my mind just to see that he had that much power. I saw it as power to control people's emotions and manipulation. Probably not a good thing for me to see that, but it was very emotional and powerful for me to kind of grab to make that acquaintance. It was very, gosh, I guess not an acquaintance, but very powerful for me to really ascertain that effect that he had on the congregation. And so I just knew, music has a way of reaching the part of your heart and your soul where that it's and not you can't compare it to anything else. Um, So when I visit the Smithsonian Art Gallery here in DC for the first time, I'm always drawn by art and wanting to get uh, inspiration from other artists, whether it be visual artists, whether it be actors or poets. Always trying to draw an inspiration from other creators. And so, when I visited the exhibit, there's a huge section exhibition on Bill Traylor and discovering the self-taught artists who lived in a time, um, where he saw the America change into so many different landscapes. He was born a slave. He lived to see this through Jim Crow, and lived well beyond Jim Crow and into the 30s and 40s. So he lived to see a lot, and it's very poignant in his work. You see him working out these ideas and working out the struggle that he faced in his work. So it really hit me here because I in the way I'm a self-taught artist. I mentioned my background in church, but I grew up playing by ear. I didn't start formal training until well into college, and that was pretty much a tradition in my family, to just kind of learn things by ear and just kind of trial by error. And so I had that connection with him, and just kind of see the work that he was able to produce on cardboard, sometimes on anything that he could find, and it was so amazing. And here it is lifted in this place. I did not use any particular images as inspiration for particular movements. I wanted to really show um, him as an artist, and really spotlight him as an artist in his life. But yet, you know, really show, he has an aesthetic, in all of his works. It's a similar thread, if you will. And in the pieces that I wrote, the solo strings, um, each of them they're different in many ways, but they have a similar quality to them. And I just wanted to have a musical representation of what I saw, but also, spotlighting his life and what he would have saw, and what kind of person he was in those pieces. But all of the pieces are, they for me, each one of that I saw and studied. It's really, really provocative, and so much to be said in that. Yeah, so the title Between Worlds, it's really harkening to his life of living between the world of black and white, rural and urban. And he traveled quite a bit, rich and poor. And really those two worlds of just kind of being in that space of not knowing where to quite fit in. And so the many different ways of expressing that sentiment in itself. Musically speaking, I wanted to draw on different musical ideas, and genres. I've always tried to kind of um, you let the music speak to me as the what it should be, not to come with any conceptions as to what it will be. Of course, I have ideas that's kind of spark the inspiration, but as I'm writing the piece, I'd like to be open and to letting the piece speak to me as to what it should be. And so you speak the violin version of this piece. It starts very solemn, almost as if it's just like in solitude, and just very still, and then this it gradually picks up, and with more animation and more moving passages. And musically speaking, you could say it's harkening to like blues with the glissandi that's happening. um or you could say there's because of the moving passages that are happening, it sounds more like that could be out of like a Bach passage or something like that. There's so many genres or so many feelings that the piece kind of takes and journeys. So that particular movement with just the violin itself, um, I just imagine just so many different things happening, just a journey, if you will.
Thank you.